Hey everybody, Amy Cramer here again from Cramer Law Group. So today we're going to talk about microaggressions, and I'm going to give kind of a whole list of examples that I personally have seen in my nearly 12 years of doing this. Because in the Ashley Ogadebe case versus McDermott, Will, and Emery, again, we're just using this complaint as a teaching tool. We're not taking any of the facts necessarily as proven or true. But in this particular case, there was no effort to learn how to pronounce her name. And her name was also confused with another Nigerian attorney from another office, right? So this is kind of like, oh, you're black, you're from another country, like we'll just put y'all together, you know. Again, it may have been an honest mistake, you know, and that is what it is. But let's dig a little deeper into some microaggressions and what we can do to get rid of them. Just get rid of them. Okay. So here's some examples. Okay. I'm going to be reading here. So, where are you really from? Okay. Then again, constantly mispronouncing or Americanizing names without an effort to learn. Oh, you speak English so well. Okay. Like you could say that to a native English speaker and they'd be like, what? Um, Confusing employees of the same race or ethnicity. Okay. You could say also like, oh, you don't look Ethiopian. You're not like other Ethiopian people, you know, whatever the case may be. There's also like competence assumptions, okay? Did you get this job because of affirmative action? Um, this is a big one for us female lawyers, being mistaken for support staff when you're the professional, okay? Colleagues expressing surprise at your intelligence or your articulation. I love this one. You're a credit to your race. Okay. The other thing is always assuming that someone is the diversity hire. Again, that is actually tokenism. Um, Cultural appropriations, touching someone's hair without permission, making assumptions about food, stereotypical comments about cultural practices, exotic. Oh, you're looking so exotic when someone's wearing, let's say, their national, garments. Um, you know, Asking someone. This was actually a good one. Could I be your token like minority friend? Could I be your majority friend? Then we've got like gender based, again, interrupting women more frequently than men, explaining things to women they already know. This is mansplaining. Don't do it. Questions like, are you sure you can handle a project? And you're pretty smart for a woman. That's we don't like that. Here's a great one. Assuming that women will take notes in meetings. Everybody watched The Office, and I can just imagine Pam sitting there next to Michael, and she's always taking the notes in the meetings, right? Can you get me coffee for the meeting? That would be, don't go there. You're being emotional. We love that as women. And then this one I see all the time, especially for women in sales. So this would be questioning their commitment due to family responsibility. So, oh, you're back from maternity leave. You know, you're not going to want to go to all these dinners or do all this traveling now that the baby's here, right? That one I see a ton. And I've gotten a lot of plaintiffs, a lot of money on that one. So, again, we can go into like age, like assuming that someone who's older doesn't know how to use the computer. Saying stuff like, well, that's not how we do things anymore. Are you planning to retire soon? Right? Excluding older individuals from training on new technologies. Okay. Then there's some other like stuff with gender identity that's really, really hateful. Like when will you find a nice man or woman? This is assuming that someone is heterosexual. Being like, that's so gay. I truthfully grew up with that in our lexicon of like, that's so gay. And obviously, it is a horrible negative descriptor that we do not want to use. And then, oh, you don't look gay or you don't look trans. It's just a phase. Then I would say disability related microaggressions. This actually kind of hits close to home, being as it relates to an associational disability related microaggression. So, my best friend has a highly, I would say, a highly mentally impaired sister who has the brain capacity of maybe a year and a half year old, and she's 37. And at her job, she had a boss say to her, "Oh, well, do you know about these kinds of special needs trusts?" And she was telling me that she was about to blow because, of course, she knew about that. And instead of blowing, she blinked her eyes and said, "Oh, yes, thank you very much." Right? So, again, things that we just don't want to bring up. And again, the person might have meant well, but just don't go there. Okay? We can go into religious microaggressions. Merry Christmas. Oh, you don't celebrate Christmas? And then, again, you could stereotype about dietary restrictions, whether someone is halal or like, are you allowed to, and then, we can go into physical appearance or socioeconomic. We'll save that for another day. But the legal implication, finally I'm getting there, is that a pattern of microaggressions can support discrimination claims, evidence of biased workplace culture, right? So this can also demonstrate pretext in wrongful termination type cases. So what do we have to do? A whole lot. So the training focus area that I would suggest is to do an intent versus impact education. And then I would also suggest we want to do bystander intervention techniques, cultural competency, and then inclusive language guidelines as well. Okay, so again, we want to have a really strong leadership response. We want to address incidents promptly and consistently. And I think part of making sure that your whole workforce is being heard is not dismissing that as being a misunderstanding, right? So you want to focus on the impact that the statement had, but not the intent. Like, oh, she didn't mean anything by it, right? So again, you want to talk about the impact. So if you need any help with that, visit our website. Give me a call.